May I say, though, there has been change. And I've been in this discussion for the last 40 years. I was hired at the Tribune back in '69. There's third black reporter in the newsroom, and part of that affirmative action program called Urban Riots, which really helped to change the face of our newsrooms back then. And I can tell you things have changed a hell of a lot that we don't pay much attention to. And again, I think we're stuck in our old model of media.
Because while change has occurred a lot since the 60s. Let me say this, since change has happened a lot in the 60s, do you believe, yes. Are you satisfied with are you satisfied with the change that you've seen?
That's a different question.
Well, and that's why I'm asking.
Satisfaction is a different
question.
That's
why I'm asking.
I'm never satisfied.
Okay.
But I'm pointing out that there have been changes happening. When Katie Couric, for example,
there's no question
was co-host of the Today Show, she was making more money than the top anchors in the evening.
Yes, there's no question change has occurred.
Gwen Ifill, right now, you're right. I personally, and I love Gwen, I love David, I know both of them. I was personally rooting for Gwen because I thought that she was going to be a better anchor for that show. The network executives are indeed dumbbells. I used to work at a major network, and the Alex Baldwin character on 30 Rock, he's true. That's a true figure. That's a true model of the network executive, which is why TV people love that show. But Gwen Ifill is on the bestseller list right now. Gwen Ifill has got a following in this country and probably around the world that the networks have yet to tap.
Right.
Somebody's going to hit them on the head, like it hit them. I was in Chicago when Oprah was hired at Channel 7 to go up against Phil Donahue with a half-hour show in the morning. Channel 7 couldn't get anything that would rattle Phil Donahue. So, well, let's give this black woman a chance, and the rest is history. And then what happened? Suddenly, all the daytime talk shows had to have a woman or a person of color to host them. It's like what Ernie Kovacs in the 50s called the beat-it-to-death syndrome. Let's not get so stuck in the past that we think that change has not happened and there's not hope in the future. People are going into the internet and rattling the cages of the establishment more than the White House reporters. Where I'm applying for a White House press pass, by the way, for the first time since the early Bush days, because they were for some reason the Bush White House said you got to renew it every month. I said it's not worth it because you can watch C-SPAN and you got it all, ladies and gentlemen. The people, there are journalists outside of the White House press corps who are doing more to rattle the cages of this society and the news agenda than the people who are stuck in that bus.
There's a generational piece that Angela mentioned, and Ed's question about will this change only after the current generation leadership dies off. I think that naturally there will be significant change. The problem that we're in now is that it's a race against the clock, because as the old model deteriorates, the journalists who are not necessarily from the upper middle classes in terms of their background, where they grew up, where they went to school, it's always been a challenge to get that kind of diversity in newsrooms, right? Because if you're
I'm the son of a janitor.
Isn't
this a wonderful country?
If you're, you've never, necessarily going to become rich being a journalist. So now it's even worse. So why would a really talented, ambitious young person of color want to go into a business that's declining? That's the first thing. Second thing is, if the blogosphere and the internet opportunities sort of if that economic model doesn't somehow get really ahead of steam, that's not going to work either, because people can't make a living in the sort of the internet sphere right now. I mean, I write for the Root occasionally. I can't tell you how little they pay. I mean, it's shocking, okay? So there's that. Now, to Jim Incendio's point about the managers and that question of why aren't they here, because basically we all kind of get it. We're here, we're preaching to the choir, right? We understand this. These numbers, great survey, those of us who've been in the business longer than 5 minutes have all experienced these sentiments. We get these numbers. The managers, and in particular at NPR, this goes back to my point I said earlier. There's a willful denial about this demographic piece. NPR, do I have to even say to you, they canceled something called the Next Generation Project, which was literally their in-house project that was building both a pipeline of young people and young people of color. And they canceled it. They canceled News and Notes, which was a program aimed at listeners and audiences of color. So what kind of rationale is behind that, right? I think that it is a very valid point that there must be a way of building in more accountability. And I'm not sure whether you corner them at a convention or stage a panel like this and confront them. I mean, I'm kind of always up for confrontation. But, I don't know how to sort of jar that denial that exists among that class of managers and leaders.
Let me do this
business.
because we are literally up against the clock, and these folks have been standing here. I'd like to get their 2 questions in at least. So very quickly for me, ma'am. Yes.